Whew. What is good? What is good? What is good, ladies and gentlemen? Of course, you know who I be. Good Dr. Mike TV. Back again, once again. You should already know that this one is poised to be an instant classic in the making. If this is by far your first time to the Dr. Mike TV experience, make sure you subscribe, make sure you notify, make sure you do all the good things to make yourself well versed in the Good Doc's content. All my good stuff shall be listed in the links in the description area below. Now, the other day, I was talking to myself. Y'all know I'm crazy as hell. But I asked myself a hella good question. I was like, yo, Doc, which country do you believe has the absolute most wifeable women in all of Asia, right? I wanted to make sure that I was very specific about the country that I chose, more specifically Asia, because that's where a lot of brethren are traveling. Of course, you know, your Latin American countries would probably be another video for another day, and I'm going to leave that for the guys who travel there the most frequent. But I asked myself, I was like, yo, Doug, which country do you believe has the absolute most wifeable women in Asia? Now, in doing my research, I realized, and I didn't know this, I realized I knew it, but I didn't know it, but this is just a little educational moment courtesy of the Good Doc, right? There are over 48 countries, I believe, that make up and represent Southeast Asia, and a lot of these countries, not Southeast Asia, but Asia in general, and a lot of these countries, most of us would have categorized as the Middle East. Right? And I'm going to go through the list as quickly as I can. It's 40 plus, so just bear with me. So we have India, China, Indonesia, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Japan, Philippines, Vietnam, Iran, Turkey. I think Turkey is both Europe and Asia. I think half of the countries in each of those particular continents, respectfully. Correct me if I'm wrong. Thailand, Myanmar, South Korea, Iraq, Afghanistan, Saudi Arabia, Uzbekistan, Yemen, Malaysia, Nepal, North Korea, Syria, Sri Lanka, Kazakhstan, Cambodia, Jordan. There's one Azerbaijan. Excuse me, I'm not about to fuck that up. Anyways, begin with the letter A. Tajikistan. Excuse me if I fucked that up. I apologize. United Arab Emirates is considered part of Western Asia. It's crazy. Israel, Laos, Kyrgyzstan, Turkmenistan, Singapore, State of Palestine, Lebanon, Oman, Kuwait, Georgia, Mongolia, Armenia, Qatar, or Qatar, some people like to call it Qatar, Bahrain, there's a place called Timor-Leste, I believe that's how you pronounce it, or Leste, excuse me, Bhutan, Bhutan, the Maldives, and Brunei. Those are the 48 countries, ladies and gentlemen, that make up Asia in general. Now, I would like to somewhat condense this down because it would be a little bit more difficult for me to examine and observe, in my own personal opinion only, 48 different countries in reference to women that I believe are wifeable. So let's just select that down and minimize it down to places that the majority of men travel, places that the majority of the passport brethren choose to travel. We'll say Philippines, we'll say Thailand, we'll say South Korea, we'll say China, we'll throw that in there, and we'll also say Japan. And, you know, countries like that, the places that most foreigners choose to travel the most. I'll say out of those particular countries, I ask myself which ones has the most wifeable women. And many of y'all may say, yo, Doc, I already know you're going to probably say the Philippines, bro. Hell, your whole channel is Philippines based. I mean, why the fuck would you not say Philippines? You married a Filipina, right? And to a degree, I would say you guys are correct in that regard. I probably would have been a little bit more lenient towards Filipinas because those are the types of women that I had known and that I've been around the majority of my life, and thus yours truly is locked in with one. But from an objective standpoint, and you can agree or disagree with this one, I would honestly have to say that through experiences of observation, just from the outside looking in, on the women from the countries that I previously mentioned, China, Japan, Philippines, South Korea, Thailand, Cambodia, Laos, you name the ones that your foreigners frequently travel, I would have to say that it goes to the Japanese women. I would have to say that the women in Japan, in my personal opinion, overall, are likely to be the most wifeable women. Now, if anybody knows the culture of the Japanese, if anybody knows how they rock, how they roll, how they go about their way of life and things like that, you'll understand exactly why I chose Japanese women. Now, how often do you see Japanese women in relationships with foreign men? I would say to a degree, quite often, right? I would say that is a thing. Not as often probably as the Philippines or Thailand, but I would say far more often than not, you'll find that these young ladies can be and likely could be potentially in relationships with foreign men. But if you know the culture, like I said, you'll understand that once a Filipina, or you choose the Filipina, or the Filipina, once you choose the Japanese young lady, the Japanese woman chooses you, there is a decorum that comes with that. There is a level of tradition that comes with that. And most of them don't break that shit for nothing, more so because of their fear of what type of shame and humiliation they would bring to their family name. Now, some people may say, oh my God, this Japanese woman dating a black guy. Isn't that shame to the family name if she chooses a black guy over her own guy, or a foreigner guy over her own, people? If you guys remember a while back, I did that nice little live stream where in, certain countries were basically providing and opening jobs for foreign men to come into the country because of the declining birth rates in the country. I mean, I can't remember exactly what live stream that was, but you can go back through my catalog. I'm pretty sure I didn't take it down. But yeah, it was I think it was in South Korea, I believe, and also Japan were making the certain changes also towards the idea of extending the stay for foreigners in the country. I remember when I went to Japan the last time, just to pass through the airport, right? Before going to the Philippines, I had a 3-month visa stamp just to stay in the country. I could stay for 3 months. And I'm pretty sure it's probably at that point, or, it's, how can I say this? Or longer by now. That was back in 2019 or early 2019. But if you think about it, like I said, they're doing a lot to try to keep foreigners in the country, or to bring foreigners to the country. I.e., I don't believe it's as much as a taboo topic or a taboo thing to see Japanese women with foreign men. More specifically, dealing with men of my own race, black men. It's not as uncommon to see Japanese women with black men. So, despite the shaming, whatever you want to call it, people will look at you differently. Let's say you're in the relationship. There's a decorum, like I said, that I've noticed amongst the Japanese people. And one thing that they live and die by is honor, integrity, and, not bringing shame to the family name. So I've learned that the traditional young ladies, they are traditional to the T. I mean, they do what they have to do for their men, etc., etc. I mean, I don't need to go into the details. I kind of feel like traditional kind of covers the basis when I say it like that. I mean, a lot of you guys want details, but I do believe that you can ask other guys who really be in there like that, and they'll give you the 411 and definitely give you what you need to know in that regard. But what I do know from the outside looking in, again, these women are definitely some of the most traditional young ladies. And as a result of them being traditional, I do find that tradition leads to them being wifeable material. As in, probably out of the countries that most foreign men do travel, I do believe that they probably are at the top of the list of the most wifeable women in Asia. Right? Because cheating and all of that stuff, I'm not saying that they don't do it. I mean, fuck, probably everybody cheats. I mean, every race of person probably cheats. Like, there's no race of individuals that probably hasn't, cheated. But from that perspective, I do believe that if it comes out and, things like that, they realize how bad it could be for them. So in fear of bringing shame to the family, like I was saying, I do believe it does deter them from participating in said activities, especially, like I said, cheating and doing all the things that wives don't necessarily do in a relationship, right? But maybe people feel different. Maybe people have differing opinions. That's perfectly fine. I just definitely felt as though that if you had to rank them, like I said, out of the countries that foreigners do travel to the most, again, your China, South Korea, Japan, Cambodia. You could throw Laos in there if you want to, whatever. Most countries that foreigners travel to in Asia, you will likely see, in my personal opinion, that the most wifeable women are probably those from Japan. And we had a whole debate on this a long time ago. It was a debate on a YouTube channel many months ago, man. It could have been last year, year before. And the guys that represented for Team Japan, I'm not gonna hold you, they were on point. Like, honestly, like, they were talking about the traditional and the femininity, if you want to throw that in there. They were talking about the ways of the women there, and I was like, yeah, these women definitely are likely to be the most wifeable women. But in that regard, what I will say is that the most wifeable women may not be, aka the easiest women to get with, as in you not just gonna talk to them today and be with them or bed them by tomorrow. You know, that's not normally, well, it could happen. I'm not saying that it couldn't, but normally I don't see that being a thing in Japan. Maybe you guys know different, unless y'all hanging out in the districts, you know, the red lights, not the yellow lights or the green lights. If you're in the red light district, maybe it's a little bit different, but I do believe that if you're dealing with a young lady that you quote unquote want to be traditional, it's going to be a process for you to get to know this young lady. Not to mention language barrier, if that's an issue, you know, things like that. So although they are wifeable, there's probably going to be some challenges that come with the wifeable material, right? And maybe you guys got a lot more to add to this video. Maybe you think another country out of the 48 plus that I mentioned are wifeable more so than those in Japan. Definitely be interested to hear. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please feel free to share, like, comment, and subscribe. It's been a good Doc, man. Y'all take care, man. Y'all stay blessed. Doc is out. Peace.